What you're about to hear is the story of a guy who gave up the biggest career opportunity of his life because his wife didn't want to move. He chose her, chose the marriage, chose loyalty over ambition. And how did she repay him? She stood up at her father's birthday dinner in front of 20 people and told everyone he was mediocre, scared, weak. Said he'd come crawling back to her within days. She was so sure he couldn't survive without her that she basically dared him to leave. And my guy? He took that dare. What happened next is one of the most satisfying slow burns I've ever covered on this channel. My wife called me mediocre at her dad's birthday dinner and dared me to leave. So I took a job in another state and never looked back. I never thought a birthday dinner could end a marriage. But here we are. My father-in-law Frank was turning 65 and the whole family gathered at this steakhouse downtown. Nothing fancy, just one of those places with dark wood panels and pictures of cattle on the walls. About 20 people crammed around a long table, passing bread baskets and talking over each other. Standard family gathering. I remember the rolls were actually decent. That's what I was focused on. The bread and keeping my head down. Because Nicole's family dinners always had this energy where people were one glass of sweet tea away from turning the conversation into a competition. I was sitting there trying to enjoy my steak when my brother-in-law brought up his new promotion. Everyone congratulated him, asked about the salary bump, the title change, the usual stuff. He was eating it up. Good for him, honestly. I was happy to let someone else be the center of attention. Then someone turned to me. What about you? Still at the same place? Before I could even answer, my wife Nicole jumped in. Oh, he's perfectly content where he is. Aren't you? There was something in her tone. Sharp. Like she'd been waiting for exactly this moment to make a point. I kept my voice neutral. The job's fine. Pays the bills. Her sister Megan wouldn't let it drop. Didn't you have some opportunity a while back? I remember you mentioning something about a bigger role. Nicole laughed. Actually laughed. He turned it down, said it wasn't the right time. I felt my jaw tighten. That wasn't the full story, and she knew it. It would have required relocating, I said quietly. We discussed it together. We decided together. She set down her fork and I knew where this was going. You mean I told you I wasn't moving and you agreed because you knew this marriage wouldn't survive long distance? The table got quiet. People were suddenly very interested in their steaks. That's not fair, I said. I chose us. I chose this marriage. You chose the easy option. Her voice was getting louder. You were scared. Scared of change. Scared of the challenge. Scared of proving yourself. Frank tried to step in. Maybe we should talk about something else. She ignored him. You know what your problem is? You're comfortable being mediocre. You had a chance to actually do something with your career, and you chickened out. I could feel everyone staring. My face was hot. I made that decision for you, I said. For us. No. She pointed at me. You made it because you're terrified of being alone. You knew if you left, I wouldn't wait around. And you couldn't handle that. The whole table was dead silent. Even the waiter had backed away. I opened my mouth, then closed it. What was there to say? She just told everyone at this table that I was weak, that I was afraid, that I couldn't survive without her. She leaned back, arms crossed. If you want to leave, go ahead. Walk out that door. You'll come crawling back within weeks. Maybe days. Her mother gasped. That's enough. I'm serious. Nicole's eyes were cold. He needs me more than I need him. We all know it. He knows it. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor, loud in the silence. I pulled out my wallet, threw down enough cash to cover my meal, and looked at Frank. Happy birthday. Then I walked out. I heard her voice behind me. See? Running away, like always. I didn't turn around, didn't respond, just kept walking through the restaurant, past the other diners who definitely heard everything, out into the parking lot. My hands were shaking when I got to my truck. Not from anger, from clarity. She thought I needed her, thought I was too weak, too scared, too comfortable to survive on my own. I started the engine and drove home. Our home. For now. My phone started buzzing before I even pulled in the driveway. Text after text. I didn't look at any of them. When I walked through the door, I went straight to the bedroom and pulled out my old duffel bag from the closet. Started packing. Clothes, toiletries, important documents. I wasn't grabbing everything, just enough. The phone kept buzzing. Calls now, not just texts. I let it ring. 40 minutes later, I was checking into a motel off the highway. Nothing special, but it was clean and cheap. $70 a night. The kind of place with a vending machine in the hallway and towels that were thin but folded. I could manage that while I figured things out. Grabbed a Coke from the machine, sat on the edge of the bed, and finally looked at my phone. 17 missed calls. Dozens of messages. First ones were angry. You're being childish. Come back here right now. You're embarrassing yourself. Then confused. Where are you? Answer your phone. People are worried. Then almost concerned. This isn't funny anymore. We need to talk. I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, I scrolled through my emails until I found the one I was looking for. 8 months old. The subject line read, "Exciting opportunity, still interested?" I'd saved it. Don't even know why. Maybe some part of me always knew this day would come. I'd read it probably 4 times after turning it down, each time feeling that sting of what if. And every time I'd close it and remind myself I made the right call. Marriage meant sacrifice. I read it again now. Senior position, different state, 40% salary increase, better benefits, room for advancement. I'd turned it down because she didn't want to move. Because she had her job, her friends, her family here. Because I thought that's what a good husband does. She just told a room full of people I was too scared to make it on my own. Time to prove her wrong. Hold on a second. For the listeners, this is me jumping in, not the OP. I need you all to understand something. This woman had a man who literally tanked his own career trajectory because she didn't want to relocate. He chose the marriage. And her response was to stand up at a family dinner and roast him like he was a failed contestant on Shark Tank. That's not an argument. That's a public execution. She went full Cersei Lannister on this man, humiliated him in front of his entire in-law family, and then had the audacity to say, "Go ahead, leave." She basically handed him the detonator and said, "You won't." Buckle up because my guy pressed the button. I typed the email at 11 that night. Wait, no, it was closer to midnight. Whatever, doesn't matter. Point is, I was sitting on that motel bed with my laptop balanced on my knees. Kept it professional but direct. Told Mr. Holden my circumstances had changed, and I was ready to relocate if the opportunity was still available. Hit send before I could second-guess myself. My phone buzzed again. Another call from Nicole. I declined it. Text came through. "You're acting insane. Come home so we can talk like adults." I turned the phone off completely and tried to sleep. Didn't work great. Spent most of the night staring at the ceiling, listening to trucks rumble past on the highway. Morning came too early. I turned my phone back on and found 23 new messages. Her family had joined in. Megan, what's going on? She's really upset. Her mother, you two need to work this out. Even her brother, man, just come back. You're making this worse. Nobody asked if I was okay. Nobody questioned what she'd said to me. I deleted all of them without responding. What I didn't delete was the email notification that came in at 6 in the morning. Mr. Holden had replied. The original position was filled, but they had an even better opening. Team lead, more responsibility, 52% salary increase from what I was currently making. I called him at 8 sharp. "I'll be honest," Holden said after we talked for about 20 minutes. "We were disappointed when you turned us down. You were our top choice. But this new role is actually a step up from what we originally offered. Team lead position. More responsibility, but also more money. 52% increase from your current salary." I did the math in my head. That was significant. Life-changing money. Not rich person money, but enough to actually build something real. When would you need me to start? 2 weeks, 3 if you need the extra time to relocate. 2 weeks works. Excellent. I'll have HR send over the paperwork today. Welcome aboard. After I hung up, I sat there for a minute, letting it sink in. I just accepted a job in another state. Just like that. One phone call, one conversation, and suddenly the future looked completely different from what it did 48 hours ago. I was eating a gas station breakfast sandwich in a motel room, and somehow that was the best morning I'd had in years. Nicole called again. This time I answered. She sounded annoyed, not worried, just annoyed. Told me I needed to come home so we could talk about last night. I told her there was nothing to talk about. She said I embarrassed her by walking out. I almost laughed. I embarrassed her, after what she did. I kept my voice steady and told her I accepted a job. Moving in 2 weeks, long silence. She didn't believe me at first. Then she got angry. Said I was being dramatic, that we had a lease, bills, commitments. I told her I'd pay my half of the month's rent, and after that she was on her own. You won't last 2 months out there by yourself, she said. Guess we'll find out. I hung up before she could respond. Yo, time out. Let me paint this picture for you real quick. This man is sitting in a $70 motel room, laptop on his knees, and he just casually secured a 52% raise in one phone call. Meanwhile, Nicole's at home calling him dramatic. That's like being in a sinking boat, watching someone swim to shore and yelling, "You're overreacting." Princess Scoreboard over here really thought he'd fold. She literally gave him the blueprint, told him he was too scared to leave, too weak to make it. My guy took notes during the roast and used them as a to-do list. That's not revenge. That's project management with a grudge. The next 2 days were logistics. Went to the bank, withdrew half of our savings. Wasn't much, maybe $3,000, but it was mine. Set up a new account at a different bank, transferred my direct deposit. Went to the house when I knew she'd be at work. Packed more clothes, my laptop, some books. Left my key on the kitchen counter. On day 3, she showed up at the motel. I was coming back from getting coffee. There was a gas station across the road that had surprisingly decent stuff. When I saw her car in the parking lot, she was waiting by my door, arms crossed. That familiar posture. The one that said she was already annoyed before the conversation started. How'd you find me? Checked every cheap motel within 10 miles. Wasn't hard. I unlocked the door but didn't invite her in. She tried the soft approach first. Said she was sorry, that she'd been angry, that she shouldn't have said those things. Wanted me to come home. Said we could work on it. Her voice had that careful tone people use when they're saying what they think you want to hear. I looked at her. You told me I was mediocre, that I was scared, that I needed you more than you needed me. And you said all of that in front of your entire family, at your dad's birthday dinner. She said she was angry. I told her angry people tell the truth. That one landed. I could see it. Her eyes hardened. You're making a huge mistake. That job won't work out. You'll be miserable and alone. And I won't be here when you realize you need me. There it was. The real Nicole. Took about 90 seconds for the apology mask to slip. I'm counting on that. I went into the room and closed the door. She stood there for a minute. Then I heard her footsteps walking away. Her car started, left. That night I got the contract, benefits package, and relocation assistance details from HR. Signed everything and sent it back. 10 days to go. I changed my number on day 7, gave the new one only to my boss at the current job and the HR contact at the new company. Complete silence after that. It felt good. On my last day at my old job, my supervisor seemed confused about the sudden notice. I gave her the short version. Opportunity came up. Had to move fast. She nodded and told me I'd always been solid there. That they were losing a good one. That simple sentence meant more than she probably realized. 5 years of Nicole telling me I was playing it safe, and my boss of 3 years just told me I was someone worth keeping. Funny how that works. I loaded my truck on a Saturday morning. Everything I owned fit in the bed and back seat. I didn't have much. Some clothes, my laptop, a box of books, a duffel bag of random stuff. It looked kind of pathetic, honestly, but also kind of freeing. No furniture to argue over, no decorations I never picked out, just my things. Drove past our house one last time. Nicole's car was in the driveway. The lawn needed mowing. I noticed that, and then I noticed myself noticing it and thought, nah, not my problem anymore. I didn't stop. 300 miles to my new life. Made it in 5 hours. Stopped once for gas and a sandwich at some rest stop where they had those little tourist pamphlets for places I'd never heard of. Grabbed one for no reason. Still have it somewhere. Pause for a second. I want everyone to notice something about Nicole's strategy here. First, she humiliates him publicly. Then she's angry he left. Then she tries the guilt trip. Then she goes soft and apologetic at the motel. Then, when that doesn't work, she snaps right back to, "You'll fail without me." She's cycling through manipulation tactics like she's scrolling through Netflix, trying to find something that works. What's next? A GoFundMe titled, "My Husband Left." Because I roasted him at dinner and now I need rent money? This woman is playing emotional whack-a-mole, and every single approach is getting hammered back down. Anyway, new city, new job. Here's where it gets good. The new city was smaller than I expected. Not tiny, but manageable. The kind of place where traffic actually moved and parking wasn't a nightmare. I drove around for an hour on Sunday just getting my bearings. Found a decent diner near the hotel, had breakfast by myself, read the local paper on my phone. Nobody knew me here. Nobody had opinions about me. It was the most relaxed I'd felt in months, maybe years. Found the company building that same day just to make sure I knew where I was going Monday morning. Modern glass and steel, 5 stories. Holden Industrial. They manufactured precision equipment, something I actually knew about from my previous job, which is probably why they wanted me in the first place. My first day, Holden met me in the lobby personally. Firm handshake, genuine smile. The office was clean, organized, and busy. People seemed to actually enjoy being there, which was a change from my old job where everyone kind of shuffled around waiting for 5 o'clock. He introduced me to my team, 6 people, all solid. One guy, Nate, offered to help me get settled. Asked if I had a place yet. Ended up renting a room from him. Small house in an older neighborhood, $300 a month plus split utilities. Not fancy, but clean and quiet. Actually, I should mention, Nate's the kind of roommate who basically disappears. Worked swing shifts half the time, never around. Perfect situation, honestly. I bought a used bed frame and mattress from a thrift store. Set up my laptop on an old desk Nate had in his garage. It wasn't much, but it was mine. No one telling me I was mediocre. No one keeping score. Work was good. Better than good. My supervisor Dana was direct and fair. When I did something right, she said so. When I made a mistake, she explained how to fix it without making me feel stupid. She told me after 2 weeks I was picking things up faster than most people. Holden had apparently talked me up. 3 weeks in, I got my first paycheck. Had to double-check the number. Then I checked it again because I thought something was wrong with the direct deposit. Nope. After taxes and insurance, I was still taking home more than I'd made in a full month at my old job. I paid Nate rent, bought groceries, filled up the truck, and still had money left over. Actual savings. For the first time in I don't even know how long. It felt strange in a good way. Like I'd been living on the wrong difficulty setting and someone finally switched it. One night, curiosity got me. I turned on the old phone. 87 missed calls. Over 200 texts. First batch from Nicole. Angry, then confused, then almost desperate. "You can't just disappear. This is childish. I'm worried about you." Then her family piled on. Her mother saying we could work it out. Her father telling me to be a man and face this. Megan saying Nicole was a mess and I needed to come back. Not one of them asked what she'd said to me. Not one person acknowledged that maybe, just maybe, I had a reason for leaving. Most recent message was from 5 days ago. Nicole saying she'd talk to a lawyer. If I wanted a divorce, fine, but we needed to handle it properly. I turned the phone back off. At work, things kept improving. Dana assigned me to lead a small project. Nothing major, but it was mine. The team respected my decisions. We finished ahead of schedule. Nate invited me out one night to a spot where he played pool with friends. One of his friends, a woman named Brooke, worked in accounting at another company. She was funny, sarcastic, and didn't take anyone's nonsense. "So you're the mysterious roommate," she said. "Nate told me you just moved here out of nowhere. Needed a change. Leaving something behind or running towards something? Both, I guess." She smiled. "Fair enough." We talked for a while. Nothing serious. It felt normal in a way I hadn't experienced in years. Nobody keeping score. Nobody waiting for me to mess up. Wait. Let me jump in here because this part is important. For 5 years, this man lived in an environment where he was constantly being measured, graded, and found lacking. Now he's at a job where his boss tells him he's doing great, living with a roommate who minds his own business. and talking to a woman who just has a normal conversation with him, and it felt weird to him. That's how messed up his baseline was. Nicole had him so conditioned to expect criticism that basic human kindness felt like a foreign language. She turned this man's emotional thermostat so low that room temperature felt tropical. That's not a marriage. That's a hostage situation with a shared Netflix account. I found a lawyer through a coworker's recommendation. Straightforward guy named Mr. Shaw. I explained the situation. Pretty simple case, he said. No kids, no major shared assets, renting, not buying, vehicles in separate names, just splitting whatever savings existed and making sure debts were handled fairly. He could file that week. Do it, I told him. Gave him Nicole's old number and let him deal with her. 2 weeks later, Shaw called. She was contesting, claiming I abandoned the marriage, wanted compensation for emotional distress. I laughed. Couldn't help it. Emotional distress. Shaw said it was a standard tactic, her lawyer trying to scare me into offering more. He'd handle it. 3 days later, the messages started up on my new number. Someone at my old job must have given it out. Nicole texting me that I couldn't just erase 5 years. That she wasn't asking me to come back, just wanted help with the transition. That I was being cruel. That this isn't who I am. Her family found the number too. Her father saying I left her struggling financially. Megan saying Nicole had to get a roommate to afford rent. Her brother telling me I was better than this. I showed the messages to Nate one night. He read through them and shook his head. Classic guilt trip. She thought you'd fall apart without her. Come crawling back. Now she's realizing she needs you more than you need her, and she's scrambling. Shaw called again eventually. She was willing to settle. Wanted me to pay 3 months of her rent to help her adjust. No. He countered with a clean split. No money changes hands. Everyone walks away. Work kept picking up. We landed a major contract. Long hours, but satisfying. Dana said during a review that if I kept it up, there'd be a promotion discussion in 6 months. Brooke and I had been spending more time together. Nothing official, just coffee or lunch when schedules lined up. She knew about the divorce, but didn't push for details. You'll talk about it when you're ready, she said, or you won't. Either way. One Saturday, she invited me to a local festival. Food trucks, live music, craft vendors. The kind of thing I would have avoided before because it wasn't our scene. I went, had a great time, bought some ridiculous hat from a vendor because Brooke dared me to wear it. Ate way too much fried food and didn't feel guilty about it. On the way back, she asked what my ex was like. I thought about it for a minute. She needed me to be less than I am, smaller. She wanted someone she could look down on, and I spent 5 years letting her do it. And now I'm done being small. Good, Brooke said. Then came the workplace ambush. I was in a meeting, middle of reviewing quarterly projections, actual adult work, when reception called my extension. Someone here to see you. Says she's your wife. My stomach dropped. The room was quiet. Everyone could hear the receptionist through the speaker. Ex-wife, I said. Tell her I'm unavailable. She's pretty insistent. Says it's important. I excused myself. Dana looked at me like she could tell something was off but didn't push. I walked to the lobby. Nicole was standing by the front desk looking out of place in jeans and a wrinkled jacket. She'd lost weight, dark circles under her eyes. Her hair was different, shorter, like she'd chopped it in one of those post-breakup moments people have. She looked tired in a way that wasn't just about sleep. I kept my voice low. What are you doing here? You wouldn't answer my calls. I needed to see you. We have nothing to discuss. The divorce is finalized. She wanted to talk somewhere private. I said no. Whatever she needed to say it here or leave. She said she drove 6 hours. I told her I didn't ask her to come. I didn't ask her to do anything. Her voice cracked. She said she made a mistake. Said she was wrong about everything at that dinner. That she was angry and stupid. Apology noted. Now leave. A few co-workers had stopped what they were doing. She tried again, saying I was throwing away everything we had because of one bad night. One bad night. I shook my head. That was just you finally saying what you'd been thinking all along. She shifted tactics, got louder, said she could see what I was doing. New job, new life, pretending I was better off. Said I was running from problems instead of fixing them. I fixed the problem. I left you. Her face flushed. People weren't even pretending not to watch anymore. She wouldn't leave when I asked. So I walked to reception and asked them to call security. Her eyes went wide. You're calling security on me? You were asked to leave. You refused. 2 guards appeared. One of them approached carefully. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with me. She looked at me one last time. You've changed. This isn't who you are. You're right. I'm not the person who let you walk all over him anymore. That guy's gone. She was escorted out. I heard her say something about me making a huge mistake. Dana found me afterward, offered me the rest of the day. I said I just needed 10 minutes. I sat in an empty conference room, hands shaking slightly. Not from fear, not from anger. From the realization that I'd just done something the old me never would have. The old me would have gone outside with her, would have listened to the apologies, would have felt guilty for making her drive all that way. The new me recognized what that was. Okay, stop. I need everyone to appreciate the absolute cinematic poetry of what just happened. She humiliated him at a dinner table in front of her family. He just had security escort her out of his workplace, in front of his coworkers. That's not pettiness. That's a director's cut callback. She told him he'd come crawling back. Instead, she drove 6 hours to crawl to him and got walked out by security. If Karma had a highlight reel, this clip would be the thumbnail. Nicole showed up thinking the old software was still running. Ma'am, there was a firmware update. That operating system got deleted. The recycle bin got emptied. There is no recovery mode. Anyway, let's see how this wraps up. Final update. That evening, Nate and I met up with some friends, including Brooke. She asked about what happened. I told them. And you had security walk her out, Brooke said. I asked her to leave first. She refused. Brooke raised her cup. I'm buying your next round of food. That took guts. Didn't feel like it. Just felt necessary. Nate leaned back. She's going to tell everyone you're the bad guy now. You know that, right? Let her. Anyone who knows the full story knows better. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. That was cruel. She's devastated. Probably Megan or her mother. I blocked it. Another text from a different number. Same energy. Blocked that one too. Then a message hit my work email. Subject line, you'll regret this. One sentence inside. When this job doesn't work out and you have nobody, don't come looking for me. I forwarded it to Shaw. He said it could qualify as harassment. Save everything. If it continues, restraining order. Brooke walked me to my truck afterward, asked me a direct question. Are you actually over her? Honestly, I think I've been over her for a while. Just didn't realize it until she gave me permission to leave. She didn't give you permission. She dared you. Same thing. Brooke shook her head. No, it's not. Permission means you needed her approval. A dare means she didn't think you had it in you. Big difference. I thought about that. Either way, I'm done. Good. Because I like this version of you way better than whatever you were before. Months passed. Life settled into something I didn't even know I was allowed to have. Steady, calm. Shaw sent me the final divorce decree. Official stamp, judge's signature, the whole thing. I filed it away in a drawer and went to work like any other Tuesday. Dana called me into her office that afternoon. Promotion offer, senior team lead, 18% salary increase, managing 2 teams instead of 1. She slid the paperwork across the desk and I read through it. The numbers were solid. The responsibilities made sense. I signed it right there. She shook my hand and said Holden specifically approved it. I moved out of Nate's place into a small house I was renting on my own. Nothing fancy, but it had a yard and a garage. Space to breathe. First night there, I just sat in the living room on a folding chair I hadn't replaced yet and ate takeout in the quiet. It was the best meal I'd had in a long time. Brooke and I had been dating for 2 months by then. Nothing rushed, just letting it develop naturally. She met my coworkers. I met her friends. We fell into a routine that didn't feel like a routine, more like something we both actually wanted to be doing. It felt easy in a way my marriage never did. No scorekeeping, no tests, no performances. One night over dinner, she asked if I ever thought about Nicole. Sometimes, I said, not often. Mostly I think about how different things would be if I'd stayed, and how grateful I am that I didn't. I pulled out the old phone one last time. 100+ messages I'd never read. Scrolled through without opening any. The last few were all from Nicole. Most recent from 3 weeks prior. I know you've moved on. I see it on social media through mutual friends. I'm happy for you. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for how things ended. You deserve better than what I gave you. No demand for a response, no guilt trip, just an acknowledgement. I almost replied. Almost. But what would I say? Instead, I turned the phone off and put it back in the drawer. A year after leaving, I was sitting on my back porch with a coffee, watching the sunset. Brooke and Nate were coming over for dinner later. I'd just finished a major project that took 3 months. My phone rang. Unknown number. It was Frank, Nicole's father. He apologized. Said what happened at his birthday dinner wasn't right, that he should have spoken up, that he never believed what she said about me needing her more than she needed me. Would have been nice to hear back then, I said. I know. I'm sorry. Apology accepted. Is that all? That's all. Take care of yourself. He hung up. I sat there for a minute. Part of me appreciated the call. Most of me had already moved on. That chapter was closed. Brooke and Nate arrived an hour later. We grilled burgers, argued about which movie to watch, stayed up too late. Normal stuff. Good stuff. Later, after everyone left, I threw away the old phone. Didn't need it anymore. Didn't need the reminders. She said I'd come crawling back within weeks, that I couldn't make it alone, that I needed her. A year later, I was thriving at a job I loved, in a relationship that felt genuine, surrounded by people who actually valued me as I was. She'd been wrong about everything, and honestly, I'd never been more right about a decision in my life. So, if someone ever tells you that you can't survive without them, maybe it's time to find out. You might surprise yourself. Look, I'm not going to sit here and pretend walking out of that dinner was some kind of master plan. It wasn't. The man was humiliated and he reacted. But here's the thing. Everything after that walkout, the email, the job, the move, the new life, that was all him. Nicole spent 5 years convincing this dude he was small. Turns out, he just needed one public roasting to remember he wasn't. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Would you have walked out at the dinner, or would you have waited until you got home? And if you haven't subscribed yet, come on, hit that button. You know the next story is going to be just as wild. See you in the next one.